I'm gonna butcher your last name, by the way, but that's all right.
That's fine. Just
Dana
try to.
Cairns, thanks for coming on tonight. Long time. What's it been like? 5? No, 10 years, 8 years, 7 years.
Jeez, I don't know. It's been a long time. I think since before your oldest was born.
Really, that long? No, I don't
Or
think so. I think I bumped into you at some show
probably, yeah.
after I had a kid. After that, but you
Yeah.
went out, you were doing some pretty cool stuff, right? Weren't you at the studio, right? Didn't you do that at the studio? Something at the studio?
Yeah, like right when March, so I was comic in residence in March, and then that was when the world shut down. And so,
No.
yeah, I mean,
Oh,
but it was cool. Rick Jenkins is so lovely, and it was just such a nice. God, I can't even hold my phone. Um, it was really nice, and I was glad I got to do it. I'd wanted to do it for a long time. But yeah,
you get to do
still
your whole week or what, however long it is, or did you get cut off?
2 weeks of the month, and then it got shut down, and
Oh, that's devastating.
yeah. But I mean, it was cool to do. It was such an interesting time to do it because I mean, the people that came to the shows were like so. Because even then, it was like people were super paranoid. So, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I can't hold this. Do I look like I'm in an '80s movie or a music video? Sorry, I'm just
That's
sitting
all
in a
right. I
shitty.
like the '80s, so it's perfect.
I should mention I'm drinking wine because I can't.
Everyone drinks when they come on. I don't know.
Oh, are you drinking?
No, no. I'm on this Don Zolo 75 hard thing that he has.
Is
Yeah.
I knew he was training for like the marathon, right? Is he was?
I don't think he's training for it anymore, but no, so he has me doing it now.
Gosh, lemmings, all of you.
Well,
The
you
last
can't.
time,
I don't want to gain the quarantine 15, or I mean, I probably did, but I'm trying to. I figured now is probably a good time to do that since I have nothing else to do.
and you're married. Who cares? You can gain like 40 pounds, and you still have like a year of
Well,
legal battles to even sort it out. So who cares?
yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm not kidding. I'm just kidding. Your wife. I've met your wife. She's so lovely, and I don't think she intends on divorcing me.
Well,
Last
that's
time
why I
I
gotta lose. That's why I make sure I'm in shape, so it stays that way.
Last time I saw Zolo, it was a party at the Whitmans, and everyone else was like eating like shit, and he shows up with his own personal yogurt and like fucking
At a party?
yeah. He's like, hey guys, I brought my own like high protein Greek yogurt and like my no fun carrots. I don't know. It was something like I'm just teasing. I
Yeah.
love Don Zolo. It was more like making everyone else feel like scumbags because he's like, trying to get in really good shape, and we're all like, yeah, chicken wings. But it's fine. I can't hold this. I'm sorry.
All right, but well, I'll tell you what. So he was on, and he was telling me about the program, and I think it's pretty cool because I think it's more of like a mental thing, like a mental wellness. So
Yeah.
we were talking about it, and I was telling him that one of the reasons that I kind of stopped doing stand up was because I felt like that show that we did, right? It was me, you, Al at Foxwoods, right?
Yeah.
The pictures came back, and I was like, oh wow, I really look like I gained a lot of weight, right? So I kind of stopped doing stand up because that was one of the
Oh,
reasons.
that's a stupid reason.
I know. Well, that when you're self conscious or whatever and anxiety. So then I was telling Don that. So he's like, so he messaged me afterwards, and he was telling me about the program, whatever. And he's like, look, I'll help you. And then maybe like a couple of days later, I said, I think I'm going to start it. And then he messaged me like out of the blue, and he's like, it really mean a lot to me if you finished it. And I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. Like I've only met Don a few times, but I thought that was pretty cool that, that he was, out there trying to help out people and get them to feel better about themselves. So I'm like, once I do it, I'll feel better, and who knows?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's not like one of the what are the Shake Shack, or no, what's the one where Shakeology, where they're like,
yeah,
drink my drink and you'll
No.
feel better and give
No.
me all your money.
this might be worse than that. You have to drink like a gallon of water a day. And
But that's good. As long as it's not charging you money.
no,
and, like,
no,
telling you
no,
to-
it's not charging me anything. So
That's good.
yeah. So who knows? I mean, I figure I'm in quarantine, nothing else going on. Sound
Yeah,
like
there you go.
So yeah.
I like that.
So when you were doing the shows in March, were people actually coming out, or were people kind of afraid to go out at that point?
The numbers were lower, but I mean, some it was it's always kind of hit or miss. You never know. But there were a lot of audiences where some were just like even then so excited to get out of the house and just
Right.
wanted to. It was really cool and it was tough, I think, because everyone, especially at that time, it was very uncertain what was going to happen, especially for not only like entertainment and comedy industry, like the service industry. Everyone was so worried, and even now, I mean, that hasn't really changed much either. But it just was so uncertain then that, like, I don't know. It was a cool month to do it, I guess. In that sense, maybe I'll look back on it and think like how crazy it was to have done it during that time.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, are you going to be
Yeah.
able to continue it when things get back to normal, if that ever happens, or?
Not comic in residence. I definitely want to like go back there and get into comedy more. I don't know. So now that you're a dad, you don't have like you don't want to do comedy. Do you have more dad material?
Well, I was going to ask you if you tell mom jokes now, but yes, I have a ton of dad material, but it really plays well to like the 6 and 7 year old audience.
That's perfect.
I don't know if Peppa Pig jokes will fly at the studio.
Oh, they probably would. I have to tell you, I do. Speaking of Peppa Pig, I'm not a prop comic, but check this out.
Wow,
Yeah, I knew
that's pretty
we
cool.
planned this. No, she spits bubbles. Look how fucked up this thing is. Like she pukes bubbles. She's empty right now, but like how fucked up is that?
That's crazy, Mike. My kids have been watching Peppa Pig for like 5 years now. I just found out that she's a girl.
Oh, and also if you take her eyeballs off, she looks like a dick and balls. If you Google Peppa
Oh yeah,
Pig
I know. Right.
looks like a willy, I mean
Yeah.
it's
Why did they must have done that on purpose?
of course. I
As
mean
like
there's so
it
many.
must be like an inside joke to the parents that are watching
Yeah.
it.
Well, and the animators, all the Disney people, and they're like,
So
um,
what are you guys watching in your house with the now that you're a mom? Do you guys have to watch like what do they watch at that age?
we like Peppa, we like
Yep.
Daniel Tiger.
Oh, Daniel Tiger.
Um,
Oh my kids don't watch that anymore. I like Daniel Tiger. It's kind of like
yeah,
the cartoon version of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, right?
yeah, very wholesome. He's teaching you a lot of things. We like Elmo a lot. Weirdly into Macklemore somehow. Macklemore videos do it, which I don't know what that.
Macklemore, like the rapper.
Yeah, like he really is into the videos for some reason. And
Oh,
Whoop, There It Is like his favorite music video. I don't know what he's gonna need therapy for certain, but
hmm. Now,
that's okay.
how old is your son now?
He's 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when my kids were that age, I was playing them Lady Gaga. I was into
Oh,
the
good.
Yeah, I was into the Lady Gaga in the Justin Bieber Baby song was out. So I was like, I was Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga is what they heard a lot of at that
Oh,
age.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in theory, you're supposed to do the no screen time, but I mean,
Oh, really?
I, I don't know. I mean, I try not to read blogs and all that stuff because it's just like
Oh my God, do
it's
not
trying
do
to blow
that.
your brains out. But
Yeah, there's nothing worse when you're like a parent and you start comparing. Like,
oh
oh, should
yeah,
they be doing this at this age? Should they be doing like my oldest didn't. I don't think he was like walking late and talking late, and I'm like, well, as long as he talks by like the time he's 18, I think that's all right.
mm.
Like I didn't
Well,
think
and
it was a big
also,
deal.
and I don't think guys feel. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I mean, moms groups and stuff. They're so judgy and so they can get just so nasty over just stupid stuff. And I mean, sometimes they're supportive, but sometimes it's like you can't go down that rabbit hole or else you'll be a mess. And I can't imagine dads probably high five each other if they like if the kid's still alive every day. And you're like, wow,
Right. Well,
good
that's
for
the goal.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're like, I didn't Scott Peterson my wife, so I'm doing well in this world.
I I love showing my kids like old 80s cartoons and stuff like that, like 70s like the cartoons I grew up with. And it's
Hmm.
funny because my 5-year-old was on a Zoom call with his preschool, and he's talking about Fat Albert. And it's like
Oh,
the other kids and their parents, and they're like, "Why is this kid talking about Fat Albert?"
that's funny. It's good. I think there's some. I think he will be like much more knowledgeable than he'll have an appreciation of the classics. I mean, aside from the fact that it's Bill Cosby and like,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Right. Aside from that fact.
separate issue. I mean, it's not like you have to explain to him like, oh, you know, roofies or whatever. So, but I think that's important. Like, I don't know. I think having an appreciation for stuff that we grew up with and that we liked will make them just cooler kids. Like when we were kids, we probably, you know, our parents probably liked the Beatles, and we're like, oh, like the Beatles, and like,
Right.
I don't know. Who knows? Who
So
knows?
has your have you changed your jokes since you've become a parent, or because it seems a lot easier to write jokes when you're a parent. I've noticed that because I just write all about my kids and people love it, you know, because everyone has kids.
Yeah, no, I definitely I do stuff, but I think I still am both dark and gross. So there are people who um, you know, kind of probably aren't as into it as I don't know. I guess your style just kind of like transforms into. But you were always very good, and you could write jokes that would, you know, still be PG-13 and funny and stuff. Mine are still kid related, but sometimes get, you know, inappropriate or
Yeah, I could see
whatever.
that being hard to do when if you were that type of comedian and then you start telling jokes about your children. All
Mhm.
right, the theme has to kind of flow a little bit.
But also, it's just kind of stuff that like you find is funny about being a parent. Like not,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. Like you probably have had friends who like have kids and then they tell you stories and you're like, that was probably the worst story I've ever heard. And like you, but it, you know, once it's about kids, you can't really say that.
right.
um, so it's like with jokes and stuff, you know. Um, I don't know. It's just your humor translates into whatever stage of your life you're in. And
Yeah.
let's hear one of your dad jokes.
Oh, I don't have that. What kind of? I don't even know what a dad joke is.
Or like what if you were to do a set now,
Yeah.
what kind of thing
Well,
would
I
you
have one joke that I wrote. That it was the last time I was on stage. It was in North Carolina, and one of the jokes I told was how I constantly refer to myself in the third person when I'm talking to my kids, where I'm like, "Oh, Daddy has to go to work. Daddy will be home late for dinner," and I'm like, "These kids think I'm their brother."
I like that.
So that
That's
was like,
funny.
yeah, that was like one joke that I did.
That's really funny. I
It's
like
easy
that.
when you know when you have kids, you know, like because they're just so funny. Kids are funny, you know,
Yeah.
and they don't realize that they're being funny. Like I like it was my kid was maybe 3, and my wife asked him, you know, he wanted something, and she goes, "What's the magic word?" Well, he happened to come home from nursery school that day, and he goes abracadabra. Well, that's a good answer. Not
That's
the
the
wrong.
most magic word.
It's not the
That's
wrong answer,
right. There's not a more magical word
right?
than that.
So you know, it's like they just, sometimes the jokes just write themselves.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, mine's not at it like he's still at a goofy stage, but he's not talking like a ton, so he's not saying anything like
Yeah.
super insightful.
Well,
But
is he at the stage where well, because this is what happens, right? Parents like the first Christmas, you guys probably go crazy, right? Because I did.
mhm.
It was like one of those Toys R Us shopping spree commercials for me.
Yeah,
And then like all they want to play with is like the boxes and the wrapping paper,
yeah,
not like the cool stuff that you're like, wait, why don't you want to play with that? Like that looks really cool, you know?
yeah. You have this car thing here. You should. This cost me like $90. You
Right.
should be playing with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It is definitely. It definitely like changes your perspective. It makes you. I think in some. Well, it makes you feel like a shittier person, or like you have to. The risk of sounding like Jerry Maguire. Oh wait. There's a giant raccoon in the trash.
Get out of here.
You see it?
Oh Jesus. I didn't. Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's a big ass raccoon. Wow, Chewy. My dog's trying to attack it. I mean,
That's
from
unbelievable.
afar.
That's unbelievable. Are we gonna see
Yeah.
like an animal fight live on the
They,
show tonight?
maybe this will go viral.
That's
Yeah, we
pretty
should.
crazy.
You see? Anyway,
That's so funny.
yeah, adulting and raccoons can be the title of. Yeah, they're very cute when you're far away from them. Anyway,
So
I forget what I was saying.
what were you doing for work? Weren't you like some type of scientist or something like that? You were working in like a lab, I think.
Yeah, still am. So still doing all that jazz. Are you back at work or not yet?
Yeah, no, yeah. I saw software
Yeah.
sales. Work from
But
home.
you're not physically back yet, right?
No. So, all right. So, what's the deal? Do I have to worry about this coronavirus thing because I'm like not leaving my yard at all? I haven't left
I don't
since
know.
March.
You haven't left your house since March?
I think maybe one time I left. Yeah, it's been like one time.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't think anybody truly knows, and anyone who's telling you definitively one way or another is full of beans. I'll say.
Right. No,
No,
I
I mean,
agree.
because on both camps, I mean, it's just, I mean, you probably have the same thing where like some people are so extreme in both directions that it's like it's you have there. We can't live like this forever. We just can't. And even if a vaccine comes out that's super effective, the amount of time it will take to prove that it's efficacious and safe will be a very long time, and even more so, the amount of time it will take to distribute to everybody will take even longer. And so it's just not so. There's those people who are like, never ever leave your house. Anybody who even walks in the street is a traitor to humanity and all these things. So I think that's like too extreme. But also I think it's obviously another extreme to be disrespectful and not wear a mask when you're outside or when you're in a store. It's just like people have to just be normal and nice and not assholes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, are you going out in public?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like going to work and stuff. I mean, um, yeah, I wear a mask when I'm out. I
Yep.
think I already had it, which probably, I don't know. I didn't get tested. It was just, I don't know. That's
Well,
not very helpful.
I'm a diagnosed hypochondriac, so I thought I had it like 6 years ago before anyone even knew what it was. Like I have
I
always
had
had
it
it.
before. It was cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I cannot go. I'm like not going out at all. Like mail comes, I leave it out in the sun for a couple hours. Like I'm not taking any. I'm wiping my groceries down with Lysol wipes before I bring them in the house. Like
That's good. I
so.
mean, I had a friend who was doing the same thing, and she got it. So
What?
she, I think at the time they weren't testing everybody, so he can come out. Um, sorry, we also don't enforce a strict bedtime, which should tell you a lot about me
Oh,
as
that's all
a.
right.
Hi, Wade. Yeah, that's Wade. He was actually named after a character in Roadhouse, the movie Roadhouse with
Oh yeah,
Patrick
yeah.
Swayze.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
is
All
it?
right.
I don't think it
I think.
is.
Well, I'm pretty sure that my wife named our youngest one after Luke Perry. So.
There you go. May he rest in peace. Yeah, yeah. That raccoon is still out there. Boy, that's a big one.
And it's not afraid of the dog, huh?
Oh, I mean, we're up on the balcony, and my balcony overlooks the trash.
Yeah.
Um, so I just get to watch him dig into all of the trash bags.
All right.
It's a very yeah. You probably don't have trash raccoons in Hanover.
I mean, I'm in the woods, so
You,
well, my trash is in the garage, so it's worse.
you're what's oh
They have to come
yeah.
in my house to do it. They probably are in my house. They're probably in my chimney or something.
Oh, the classic raccoon chimney. Too many raccoons. Yeah, it's mesmerizing.
So when you're so when you guys had when you had your baby, were you nervous like coming home? Because I was like the first time I'm like, wait a second, I got to leave the hospital and like take care of the kid by myself.
Oh yeah, no, it was like there. I don't think I've in all of my life I've had a more horrifying feeling, especially like that first car ride when
Oh my god, yes, I know
you
exactly what
you
you're
never
talking about.
want to punch anybody like you I mean road rage situation. I don't know. I've never experienced anything like it, and I don't know. Is it the same for the second kid, or is it just the
No,
first
no,
time?
no, not the second one. The first one, you're like, if they drop like, the binky, whatever, like you boil water, clean it off. The second one, you're like, just put it back in your mouth.
We won't let
Yeah.
Luke listen to that. Luke, we
What's that?
didn't care as much about your round of things.
Right. Well, that's the truth, right? I mean, that's. I guess you just get used to it. You're like, oh, this seems pretty old hat.
Yeah, but that's good to hear you say the thing about the hospital because I specifically remember standing in the lobby of the hospital with him in the car seat, and he had it set on the floor, and everybody that walked by, I'm like, I'm gonna have to fight this bitch. It's like it's just such a like an instinct. I don't know, like my hormones were all messed up. I was like wearing those gigantic underpants and probably hemorrhaging all over the place. Sorry, that's too much, but it just is like this, like very animalistic kind of like what wolves and stuff must
Right.
go
Yeah,
through.
I wasn't a wolf. I was the whatever the opposite of a wolf is what I.
Well, your
The
wife
hospital. I'm
probably
like,
was. It's yeah.
maybe she was right, but like I think you spent like 2 or 3 days after you had the kid, and like the nurses are kind of taking care of it for you, right? So you're like kind of chilling out,
Right.
and then they're like, okay, you guys are. I'm
No.
like, wait, I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a second, you guys aren't. No one's coming with us. No one's coming with us.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
you
give you
know.
a ride to our house. They're like, no, you have to go. Yeah, no, a part of me was like, are the police gonna have to come to my house because I don't know how to
Right.
take care of this creature that's living here now? Even sometimes now it feels like there's a short squatter that just lives here and just doesn't pay rent or contribute in any way and just is very
Right.
needy. But yeah, no, I definitely get it. I distinctly remember, especially because they're so good. Like the nurses at that
Oh yeah, they're the
juncture are
best.
so good.
Unbelievable.
Actually, that reminds me of what I was going to tell you is uh, without naming names, and you'll probably know who I'm talking about, but a mutual booker that we've worked for. I remember I did a show for this person when I was very pregnant, probably 8 or 9 months pregnant, and it was a bit of usually this person was very very good and seemingly legit, and then like wouldn't I signed a contract and everything, wouldn't pay me, and
What?
then did the whole like I mailed the check but it got lost, like
Oh really?
yeah, and I'm like, you're gonna do that to a fat ass pregnant lady? Come
Ooh,
on
that's
now.
interesting.
Yeah, but that's perhaps not that's for another time.
Yeah, no, that's interesting story. Yeah, I mean, I don't think people. Well, obviously, people know that the comedy world is kind of could be shady. Some people,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know, you never know what's gonna happen. Dead crowds or who's gonna show up or if you're ever gonna get paid.
Yeah, it's true. But I just thought it was funny just because I assumed that, like, in the way that people are supposed to, get up for you on the subway if you're pregnant, they would
Right.
also, if they promised to give you $200, they would just pay you and not drag it out for 6 months or something. I don't know.
Did you end up getting paid?
Yes, but I ended up feeling like guilty. Like, am I the jerk here or what's? I don't know. It was very odd.
Yeah,
But it's
that is interesting.
yeah.
I would never do that to anybody.
Yeah. No, no, no.
Yeah.
But it was just a funny, funny time.
So how long have you been doing stand up now for?
I don't know. I just like take breaks and stuff. So I don't know
Ten
if that
10 years?
counts when you don't do it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course it counts. People are like, oh, I heard someone say like real comedians. I'm like, what is a real comedian? They go, well, someone who sacrificed for a long time. I go, I mean, Eddie Murphy like became famous like 21. Was he not a real comedian? Because then he stopped and he became like an actor.
That's true. That's true. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I guess, yeah, for a long time.
12 years, right?
Probably, yeah, since 2008 or so, something like
Okay.
that. Yeah. But I definitely had like periods of, depression and other things, weird job stuff, or just,
Yeah.
you take breaks. You've been doing it since almost as long, probably?
I officially did my first show in '03. That was a long time ago. But then
Wow. Oh, yeah, I remember you saying that. And you
like
should,
I said, I
yeah.
stopped like 2000, after we did that show at Fox, Fox was
Yeah.
my last show. And then I did one like 2 years ago at some comedy club down in Charlotte, which was
Yeah.
it was kind of fun. It was like the first time I did I did a 5 minute opener. I had to call the club up, and the headliner was like this 90-year-old woman, this 85-year-old woman who was on America's Got Talent. It was
Oh,
like
I think I remember her.
it was like the filthiest comic I've ever seen. And so I did like 5 minutes before her. And it was really cool that they let me go back in the green room,
Oh,
and
cool.
and they're like, oh, they were more than welcoming, and I thought I did pretty good. I mean, I just told a bunch of dad jokes, whatever that I had written, but it was pretty good. It was fun
Nice.
it was fun to get up there.
And you're from Connecticut, right? You
Yeah.
didn't ever try to go back down there to do any?
Mm,
They have some
I
good
wouldn't.
rooms.
Yeah, they do now. Sure, I'd like to. This
Yeah.
year, well, this was gonna be this year. I was like, 2020. I'm gonna go back to doing stand up, right? And then the whole coronavirus happened. That's how this show happened. I was like, well, I want to do something,
Yeah.
and I like reading biographies. So I'm like, maybe I'll just have like my own thing where I bring people on who I think are interesting, and we come on and talk about their life story and try to make them cry. You know, so.
Have you made anyone cry yet?
No, 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 no.
Oh
I'm
man.
joking. So, what made you decide to jump into the crazy world of being a comedian?
I thought you were gonna say being a mother. I was like, ugh.
Well, that's crazy world too. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if jumping in is the word. Um, no, actually, you remember Kristen Seltman, or maybe not?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she and I met because we both took a class together, and with Dana J. Bine,
Okay.
and he was the instructor, and he's fantastic and wonderful and lovely, and I took it because I knew I would have to do a lot of public speaking, probably for the career I was in, and I was like, well, if I can talk to people about farts, then I can probably, talk to people about other stuff. It's
Right.
logical, I guess. And
Yeah.
then so she and I, I'll say, fell in love, and then, at the end of this class, we're like, why don't we, did you ever play at the Vault?
I
The
don't think
Vault
so.
in downtown.
No, I
So
don't think so.
Dick Doherty,
No.
the Vault that.
Yeah, I've never played there.
Yeah, so that was such a cool place, and it's closed now in Emerson. I don't know if they demolished. I think they demolished the space, but it's really cool. Like a lot of people kind of got their start there, and it was just a really cool spot. It was a really cool hang because like everyone could just like the way the room was set up. Like it wasn't a green room, but the sort of back part, like just it was so just fun, and everyone just had a really good time, and yeah, so we went to our first like open mic there, or booked open mic, I forget now, but I remember I was like trashed because I was so nervous, and then I had no idea what I even talked about. I just remember that someone came up after my set and was like, I really like that drunk girl routine, or like that drunk girl act you do. And I was like, whoa, it was like still so fucked up that I was like, yeah, what? And then we just kept doing it, when we want to. And she's still done. She's done a lot of stuff. She's still
Yeah.
she's in New York now, and made a name for herself there, and is doing really well. And I still get to see her when she comes to town, and if I'm down there, and I love her to death. But would like to get down there more. What about you? How did you get your start?
Well, I was, let's see, remember in like school when they would do like the superlatives that
Hmm.
you would get. So I got, let's see, eighth grade, I got class clown, right? So I was voted class clown, and I thought I was kind of funny. And then in high school, I had teachers that would give me like 2 minutes to tell jokes before the class started because they didn't want me like disrupting the class like during it. So like, well, we'll let you do 2 minutes of telling jokes or whatever. So I would just tell like old Rodney Dangerfield jokes, right? That's what I would
Oh,
do.
that's funny. Yeah.
Um, and then I think I was probably had just graduated college, and there was like an open mic somewhere near where I was waiting tables in Connecticut, and I started doing it, and then I bumped into this girl Marina Franklin, who you may have heard of
Yeah, yeah. She's
from
hilarious.
yeah, she was on like the Chappelle Show.
Hmm.
Anyway, I bumped into this is like 2003, and she was like, "Oh, you can do an open mic at this club in New York City." So I would like me and my friends would go out to New York, and did a couple open mics there, and then she booked me to do this like it's kind of like a showcase type of a thing. It was a Saturday night. It was cool because it's New York, right? And people were on the show. Like Dean Edwards was on the show, who at that time I had no idea who he was. And then like 3 years later, I see him on like Mad TV. I think he was on. So there was like a lot of people on that show that I was like, wow, these guys actually like went out and like did worked hard at this and became something. So, and she was doing probably 3 shows a night. I mean, she was a hustler.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I did it in New York for a little while, and then I moved to Boston, and two different types of audiences, different type, different scene. New York is easier to do comedy, in my opinion,
Hmm.
than Boston. Because in New York you get like a real audience because you got people walking off the street. Most of the shows are bringer shows. If you're like a newer comic on a Tuesday night, like you're at least gonna get 40 people in the crowd that are there to laugh. Whereas
Hmm.
if we do a Tuesday night show, it's an open mic somewhere, and it's 35 comedians that are just reading over their own stuff.
Hmm.
You know, so it's interesting the difference, but I just like making people laugh. Like there's nothing worse than getting up there and no one laughs, which happens a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Oh, that stinks. There's literally no worse feeling, which is why it's good to take breaks now and then, just because I think it can get very damaging if you um, keep doing it, and if you let it get to you, that kind of like feeling that
no,
that
you know what I love? I love when I had I had a show in New York once before I moved to Boston, and I think it was a Saturday night, and I invited like everyone I knew, right? So I had like 15, 20 people that came up to, took the train from Connecticut to go to New York, and I decided to tell like 2 jokes to open up with that I had never told before, right? And no one laughed because I was like memorized them, so it's kind of like I was reading them. Nobody laughed, and the rest of the show was awful. I was like counting the minutes. I'm like, how long is 15 minutes? I'm like counting the minutes till I'm off stage. I probably cut my set like 6 minutes early, and it was the worst experience that I've ever had being on stage. It's a lonely feeling.
you always gotta. It's pretty ballsy to open with a new one. You usually gotta open with a strong.
Usually, yeah. But I just felt like, oh, maybe this will feel like it's fresher because I had
Mhm.
never told. Like we tell a joke for the first time, it comes off a little fresher sometimes.
Yeah, and you own it more because you're more into it than.
Right. You're like more enthusiastic. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
That's why I changed my style to be more like, little jab jokes where it's like one line, one line, one line. That way, if it doesn't get a laugh, I can just go on to the next one. As opposed to, I mean, you have really great comedians who I see in Boston that no one's probably ever heard of, where they could tell like really, really long jokes with a great punchline. And I'm like, man, I wish I was good enough to do that.
Well, I think it's. I don't know if it's a matter of being good enough or not. It's a matter of maybe being patient enough and being willing to risk it. Because, like, if you um, like give that much to like that amount of time to a joke and then it tanks, like you feel so much worse
Oh,
than
right.
if you did like three like punchy things and then they're like they do okay, maybe not as great as you would like, but if you have a setup that's like 5+ minutes and then at the end dead, you're like I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm
Yeah,
out of
you're
like
upstate, right?
I've already
I
called an
mean, because
Uber.
how do you come back from? How can you come back from that?
I mean, some people can kind of tap dance around it and in improv a little bit, improvise and uh, you know get out of it, but not everybody. But I've seen when it works, it kills. It's like so good to watch when it does work because a lot of times with that you don't have any idea where it's going, so it takes you to this whole other. I can think of a couple of people offhand who do that so well that like from starts if you looked at the joke from the start and then at the finish you're like I would never have made that conclusion, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
so it's really cool that the people that can do that really well. I wish I could, but I like you, I feel like based on what you said, like get too antsy, like I can't handle the because it's also very silent throughout that whole setup. It's not like
Right.
people it just gets like builds and builds and then it's like if you get uncomfortable, like I get uncomfortable with too much silence and have to fill it with like
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't. That's why I don't like telling long jokes because of that reason right there. You
Mhm.
know. Who was I telling? I was telling somebody. They're like, who are some comedians I've worked with, whatever that maybe no one's ever heard of that are funny. I'm like, well, the funniest guy I think I've ever probably ever worked with that I think could have probably made it if he wanted to was Michael Coleman, who
I knew
you
you were gonna say that.
yeah yep
And he was so nice. He is so nice. Like I thought he does a lot of voiceover work, right? I think
yeah yeah yep
yeah, he was dynamite and just so nice. And like I remember we would get off stage and he would offer advice, but not in like an unsolicited I'm being a douchebag way, but in like a hey, you know that thing? Have you thought about this? And
right.
it was like
No,
he was like somebody who
he
was just
talks
so
to you in
wonderful.
a way like I really would love for you to succeed type of way.
Yeah,
When he like
yeah.
genuinely cares about somebody's like success. And yeah, I mean he's I'm trying to get him to come on. I'm like, Mike, you want to, he's like, well, it's a little late, but I'm like, you gotta come on. But yeah, I mean he's like his set is flawless.
Yeah. He's so good.
There's no words that I because I him and I used to work together. So
Hmm.
sometimes we would, I'd go down to his office and we would like talk about his jokes or whatever. I'm like, he's like, I never waste a word, which
Yeah.
I waste a ton of words because I don't know how I'm supposed to say the joke, when you're up there. So it's interesting.
And he's an impersonator too. Like
Right.
he has such a powerful voice, can do all these things and even the sounds, like he's got like Michael Winslow,
Right. Right. Yeah.
he can do all these crazy things. It's like he's really amazing. I wish he kept it up because I don't think he does it anymore. I
He
mean,
does
he was
it.
so good.
He was doing it like every once in a while. I would see him like pop up on my feed. He'd be like, he's doing some charity event somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why he doesn't. I mean, but yeah,
Yeah, and
I mean,
he's one of those comics that kind of makes the room feel good. Whereas like, um, if compared to like I said, I do like gross stuff and sometimes stuff that can be considered offensive to certain people. Not intentionally, like I'm not out to like screw up anybody's life, but like there's nobody is offended. Nobody like everybody like your grandma's laughing. The wait staff's laugh.
right.
People are like all on his side. Whereas like myself, sometimes I'll say something where I'm like, I know the type of person in the audience that would be upset by that, and you still say it because internally you think it's funny, and you're not gonna like not say something just because you might offend somebody. But he doesn't do that.
Oh, right. Well, he's told me that he wants to, he want to be able to tell a joke that could be in front of the Boy Scouts or like the Hell's Angels, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that is, for some people if that works for them.
But not. I mean, it's a small population of people that can do that. I mean, like, I don't know. I think it's very unique that it's a very unique skill and talent that few people possess. I think Tony V has that kind of thing where
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know, can just be broadly hilarious to everybody and not in like a cheesy, you know, like there's some people like, you know, it's more family friendly or general audience and then it's like very cheesy and you're like, like the people who see enough comedy to appreciate stuff like we'll see them like, oh, here we go. But like those two are ones that cater to everybody in a way that I think a lot of people do.
yeah. That was the other reason that I kind of was like, oh man, doing stand up. Like, I feel like the line, because when you want to tell a good joke, right, you gotta kind of cross the line a little bit, or at least tiptoe around the line. But I feel like the line just kept going and going and going, where people, it was like, what else can you talk about that people are gonna have never heard before, or everyone has the same premise. That's why I kind of started writing jokes about my kids, because I'm like, well, nobody can tell those jokes too, because it actually happened to me. So,
Right. So you need, I mean, not all kids do the same stuff. And
right.
have you ever thought about having your kids do like writing jokes for your kids and having them do stand
Oh
up?
yeah, I wrote my kid a pretty good joke. He didn't know what the joke was about, but I had him do a joke. Maybe I think he was like 5, maybe. And
You're like
the joke was
about hookers?
no, the joke was I got pulled over last night for reckless driving. So I said to the cop, "Isn't that the point?" You know, I don't think he didn't get the joke, but I thought it was funny.
Wait, reckless driving. Wait, what do you mean? Isn't that the point?
Like wreck less, like you're trying to wreck less.
Oh, yeah, I get it. See, I'm
That's
also like
that's all right.
a gigantic wine deep, so we should. And I've been watching raccoon fights for the better part of an hour. So
No, but
factor.
I did think about that. I said, it'd be kind of funny is if I dressed my one of my kids up like Rodney, and had him like did YouTube videos of him doing Rodney Dangerfield one-liners.
No, that would be really funny.
It would be funny. I don't know if my wife would allow that, but
You never. I mean, a friend of mine, her daughter, my friend Jenny, her daughter Olive is, I think she's probably like 9 or so now, and like Jenny is not at all involved in stand up, but like her daughter, like anytime there's like a talent show, this girl, like, her daughter wants to naturally just perform stand up, which I think is so cool. And so every time
right.
she does it, she'll send me the video, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cute. Like and she's just so, I don't know, you wonder kind of like if you had the bug or if you knew about that as a possibility as a really young person, if that would have like changed the course of your life or. Because I mean, I
Yeah,
remember
I
even
mean,
being,
I
yeah.
loved stand up when I was a kid. Like growing up, I loved it, and I don't know why I didn't pursue it. Maybe because I was in Connecticut. Probably because I didn't want to leave home. I was like a big homebody where I'm like, I had friends that left for California to pursue acting, and I'm like, I can't go out there. Like my family's here, you know.
But also, especially when you're very young, like it doesn't seem like a job. It seems
Right.
like not a real thing. So it's never. That's why I think it's good. Like my friend that's she's not even pushing her daughter. Her daughter naturally wants to do it. And it's like that's such a cool thing that she knows it's possible because I mean when
Yeah,
I
that
feel
is
like
pretty cool.
yeah.
Are you into like all the social media stuff like Instagram and Twitter, TikTok? Are you on all that stuff?
I have some, but I don't post them much. Like here and there, I can't be bothered. If I especially when it's like times like this when it's just like Facebook people berating each other and
I
in
love it. Yeah, no.
I get sucked into it, but I
I
can't like
don't.
post.
I made. I think it was maybe like 2 years ago. I can't. I said, you know what? I'm never posting anything political ever again. Anything that
Yeah,
anyone could like be on one side or the other. Never gonna see that on my feed ever again because it's like it's just not worth it. And I actually thought a few years ago I felt like people wanted to love to complain. It was almost like people wanted to stop laughing and wanted to just be mad for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a feeling that you get when you make yourself mad, if it gives some chemical response that people like, because it seems like people would rather be upset than like just laugh at something and move on with their day.
Yeah, I mean, I have no, most of the time I don't even want to risk it. It sucks too much out of my day to like, even if I post something innocuous where I know it's like not gonna, it probably won't ruffle any feathers. Like I have not intentionally ever posted something to like get a response. It's more like a goofy whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Although I did, so this isn't totally why, but part of the, I remember like when Ebola was a thing. Um, in my younger days, I like worked at this cool animal sanctuary where you get to like play with monkey. You take care of monkeys and all like ocelots and jaguars. Like it's like this
Oh, that's
cool
pretty
place.
cool. You're like
Yeah,
the
in South
Tiger
America.
Queen.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I definitely do way less meth than that, but it was this cool place, and like I had this picture of this like monkey with his hands in my mouth, and it was like total like I remember on the caption of the picture I posted, and it was like getting Ebola before it was cool, and then I posted it not even thinking like people would be upset by it, and then somebody commented like, how dare you, like this whole people are dying. I was like, come on. And like that, and it was someone who like I knew in real life. It wasn't like a stranger, it was someone who I had respect for. And I was like, how could you misconstrue something that was meant to be like such a goofy, obviously I don't want people to die,
Right.
obviously it's a goofy joke, and probably like maybe in poor taste, but like went on this big like garbage thing, and it like killed me inside that someone would be so upset by that. And so like after that I'm like, I'm done with anything that might be controversial because that was such a bullshit
Yeah, that's
stupid
not
thing.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like complaining about it, just was like I couldn't believe something's like meant to be so silly would result in such, and he was like
Right.
trying to get people like
Oh my god.
mad at me, and like, oh my god, it's a picture of a monkey in my mouth.
Now, see,
Stop.
I kind of did something like that, and I don't even think it. I was trying to be funny, right? So I put a suit on. I was in Connecticut. It was when Hurricane Sandy was happening. So
Mhm.
the storm was like, I don't know, 8 hours late than it should have been, right? So we were used to like they'd say a hurricane's gonna be really bad, and then nothing would happen. And it was like, oh, that was kind of blown out of proportion. So I did a weather report from my front yard, and I just like filmed like a leaf moving, and I'm like, oh my god, the hurricane is here, right? It was like a leaf moving, and I like kicked over a chair, and so like I filmed and I put up on YouTube, and then obviously the hurricane came and destroyed half of New Jersey, and people were like, yelling at me on YouTube, and like I'm like, it wasn't my fault. Like it didn't like the hurricane didn't watch my video, and then decide to just start destroying things.
Yeah,
Like
they're
I was
like
just trying to
blown
make
out
a
of
joke.
proportion. I'll show you blown
Right.
out.
Yeah. So yeah, so I stopped anything, everything is controversial.
Yeah.
The virus is controversial, which I still don't
Right.
understand how people getting sick is controversial, but apparently somehow it is.
Well, I think there's like did you see the pandemic thing?
No, I'm not watching anything like that, but
No, I watched it because
was it with that woman, the
people.
doctor or whatever?
Yeah, no. So people sent it to me to see my take on it, and I didn't watch the whole thing all the way through. I watched part of it and then like looked up this person to see, and I like when I got it a copy of it before I heard anybody's view on it, because I think anytime you open something with a feeling, regardless of what you end up thinking, you're gonna side with whatever your initial inclination was. So like
Right.
I and I am kind a closet conspiracy theorist. I want, I entertain ideas. I don't really follow them down any kind of rabbit hole, but like if someone has enough proof of literally anything and they can show a real thing, I think it's worth like listening to. But this was like not that at all. And so, I mean, it's the kind of thing where like people, it's the president pushed it too. He's like initially when it came out, he's like, this is just the flu. This is people are hyping what it is. It's all that. It all like the woman is basically an anti-vaxxer, and she says in the video she's not, but she is. I mean, if you look at her body work and stuff,
Yep.
she definitely is. And in these times, it's crazy. People want to grasp onto anything, and there's no answers. There's no leadership. There's nobody telling them what's real and what's not. So you can't really fault people for glomming onto something that is probably bullshit, because what else do they have? I mean, you have a president who refuses to wear a face mask. The vice president went into a hospital and
Right.
wouldn't wear a face mask in an ICU with people where even if it wasn't a COVID situation, he would still wear a face mask, and he would not.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, it's just
Crazy.
a crazy time to be alive. So it's like, I don't know.
No, I get the conspiracy theory stuff too, because if you're anyone who has an imaginative mind, you're like, as long as you got like facts that you can put together that makes me believe it, then all right, I think the problem is you have people that maybe aren't educated enough where they just start believing it because it sounds good, But like I read the Tom Hanks one, which I thought was a pretty cool one. Did you read that one?
Wait, I didn't read that one.
You didn't read the Tom Hanks one?
About
how like Tom Hanks didn't really have it, that he was like being in like the it's the what's his name? The comedian on Twitter, Sam Tripoli. Do you know him? He has like these like long Twitter threads about how Tom Hanks is in on the conspiracy, and that
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Oh shoot!
Did I lose you? Hold on here. Let me Danny, you have to come back into the. Oh, there you go. Hold on. Oh, there you are.
Sorry, it's getting very Blair Witch all of a sudden.
Oh, that's all right. With the style of the 8mm.
You beat it. That's my dog.
Oh, I think she signed off. Now everyone's going to see my terrible haircut. But I was supposed to get a haircut, and then I decided that maybe it wasn't the safest thing to do. And the fact that I'm normally afraid of things when viruses aren't in the world, I thought to myself, maybe I'll wait till like September. But I decided to shave the beard today because I could not take it anymore, and that's pretty much it. But I had a good allergy attack today, and that's why I wore my glasses, because I had to. My eyes are like swollen because apparently I'm allergic to the environment that I live in. I don't know. Doesn't make much sense to me. Let's see if I can get Dana to come back, and if not, then no big deal. And this is what happens when you are in quarantine, and you have to rely on technology. So I don't know if she's going to be able to get back in or not. And if not, that's totally fine. Let's pull up some questions here from people. I like the beard better. I like the beard better too. The problem is I only know how to either shave it or let it grow, and I'm not really good at trimming it. So what are you gonna do? Now I'll just let it grow. So that's the way that's gonna work. Anyway, so for the people that are out there, I guess I could tell a funny story about what happened to me when my kid was 2 or 3. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and my wife wakes me up to go check on our kid. So my son was in the crib. Was he in the crib? Yeah, he was in his crib, and he was standing up, and he was saying, "Mama, mommy," or whatever. So I go in the room, and he's standing up, and he's holding his hand out, So I walk into the room and I'm like, "What's up? What's wrong, buddy? What's wrong, buddy?" I'm like, "You gotta, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm half asleep." So I'm half asleep, and I walk in the room, and he's holding his hand out. So I say, "Buddy, all right? You got a boo boo on your hand?" And he's like, "Yeah, boo boo, boo boo." So now, mind you, I'm half asleep here. So I kiss his hand, and I'm like, "All right, buddy." So after that, I so I kiss his hand. Oh, hold on a second. Dana's coming back. Dana's trying to get back in the room here. This is actually a really good story, though. You guys are gonna want to hear this. Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Oh, there you go. That's all right. Oh, well, listen, I was in the middle of telling this story to the crowd since I had to do it by myself. But hold on here. So you're gonna like you're gonna like this story. So my son was 2, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And my wife wakes me up. She's like, Can you go in there?" Because he was like standing up in his crib and he's like saying something. So I go in the room and it's dark. So I'm half asleep, and he's got his hand out, and I think he's saying, he's like boo 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 boo. I'm like, "You got a boo boo, buddy?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Okay." So I bend down to kiss his hand. I kiss his hand, and I'm like, "What the?" And I'm spitting stuff out. And I turn the light on. He's got poop on his hand.
Ugh.
So I run in the room like, I tell my wife, like, "You gotta wake up." She's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I just ate poop." You
Ugh.
know, disgusting. But that's what happens when when you have kids.
Oh
So,
man, I ain't eaten poop yet, but I mean it's a matter of time. Chewy.
wait, do you guys have the PPTP?
No, what is that?
The PPT, that's what you put over the, when you're
Oh,
changing diapers so they don't pee in your face.
he doesn't do that anymore. We
Oh, that's
probably
good.
transitioning him out of diapers, but I tried it once and he like screamed his balls off.
No, he's probably too young. He's 2 years old.
I know, but I thought that's like the time. I don't know. He breathes
No, 2 years.
off.
No, come on now.
Everyone's like, your wife will know because I'm telling you, women are a nightmare with this stuff. There's
No, 2 is definitely way too young. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be doing laundry every day for a year.
I know, but
No, you can't do that.
tell you you're supposed to try. I don't know. How old were your kids when you did it?
5 maybe. 5, I think. I mean that's. Oh wait, diapers. I'm thinking of the pull-ups. I get the two confused because there's like the overnight ones that you wear. When you're trying not to, when you're learning how to like go to sleep all night.
Right.
Maybe diapers was like 3 then. Oh yeah, maybe that's right. I don't know. I wasn't in charge of that.
Their thing is like you forget. Like I have friends that have kids younger than mine, and they're like, "So when do you start feeding, solid food?" I'm like, "No idea." And they're like, "How is that possible?" I'm like, I don't know. Like when you're like balls deep in it, you just kind of like go with it. But
Yeah, the kid
there's
will let you know. I mean, if this was 1904,
no.
there wouldn't be blogs. You'd be good.
Well, I would have died in childbirth, so I wouldn't even be alive. So
That's
there's that.
true. The kid would be out running around by himself.
And he'd probably be a lot happier
Right.
than this ratchet ass drunk mom watching raccoon
Yeah.
fights or
I don't
shitty
know.
ass.
I don't really know any of that stuff. That wasn't my job. I'm the dad. My job is to entertain.
Mm. How
My
convenient.
wife. What's that?
I said, how convenient. I'm the entertainer. I'm here. I'm the clown.
I wanted to get my own apartment when our first son was born. I'm like, I want to come back like, when he's like a year. Like the first 6 months wasn't good for me. I wasn't. I
Oh,
just was. I was kind of useless.
that she wanted to bang you a second time to her other child is insane.
Oh come on, you the first for a dad with a son, the first like 6 months, you're kind of like trying to figure it out. Like you don't really know how you're gonna like connect with him, how to relate. Like he's not gonna want to watch TV with me or anything or like hang out. So
Like WWE, you puss.
right, right, he's not gonna. Yeah, he's not gonna want to do that. So you
Mm.
know, but what do you think? Well, let's see. You got 2-year-old. I mean, my kids are 2 years apart, and we thought about a third. which, like I was telling you before, if I could guarantee you it would be a girl, I think I'd sign up for it because I
Well,
do want to have someone like because my boys will they'll forget about me when they're 18. I want to be able to have like someone who's going to take care of me when I get older, you know. So
oh man, that's hilarious. It's sadly there's some truth to it, and it's a sad thing in some ways. Yeah, because I mean it's the girl's responsibility to like take
well,
care
it's
of her.
not the responsibility. It's just that they're more caring and nurturing than my kids. Than my boys will be out doing whatever. They won't even probably call me ever again. You know, it'll be like that the Cats in the Cradle song where I'm like begging them to come hang out with me.
I was gonna ask you, like, how is the diet? So I always wondered about this, and it was always kind of confusing to me. So when you have two sons and one of them has your namesake, like, is there?
Mm,
I feel like you are already inducing some sort of like weird rivalry. And I don't know which way it would go. It makes
yeah,
me
it is interesting. Or right, so that is one. That is one of the jokes that I do tell. Is I feel like my younger one. Well, so the younger ones are always going to be more advanced, right? Because they have someone to watch and catch up to.
right.
Right, it's just the way it's going to be. So like my 5-year old, you know, he's really good at sports because he has to be because his brother's older. So I was like making a joke. I'm like, I think he's going to be better than than Eddie. I'm like, anyway, I could switch their names around.
Well,
But
and if we're gonna go down that road, Eddie's a ginge, right? And Luke is
yeah,
not.
right. Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
so you got fucked up big time there. You switch them now. I'm just kidding. They're both adorable. They're both. If they weren't adorable children, I wouldn't have made such a horrific.
No, I tell him like we root for like I got him baseball cards of like all the redheaded like really good baseball players. You know, so he can like have someone to like look up to. I mean, if I had just so he can be like, oh, that's that guy because he says it like there's a guy Clint Frazier for the Yankees. He's like, oh, is he ever gonna play for in the major leagues? He's like he's got red hair like me, so that's cool. You know, Prince Harry's kind of cool.
Oh, of course. No, there's like a
You know,
plenty, and that's the thing. You'll always know who they are. Like it's like you'll never be lost in a crowd. Like my best friend of all time has red hair, and she, you know, granted she's got like the most amazing personality, but like she, you couldn't go any place without people knowing who she
yeah.
was. So I'm just teasing just to be an
No,
asshole.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't because he says it. He's like he goes, you know why I'm special? I'm like, why? He goes, because he's the third. He's like because I'm the third and I have red hair. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's right. You are. I'm like, that's right. You are special. I'm like, you're not gonna be like everybody else. So
No,
you
that's
know, he's
nice.
gonna stick out, be his own guy. You know. But
But
yeah,
I mean,
no, they get
isn't
along great. They're like best. They're literally like best friends. Like they,
it,
you know.
it just always seemed to me that there would be some like rivalry just because of that, but there you don't have that.
No, not really. I mean, they have like they want to beat each other when they're if they're playing like a game or something, and one of them the one who loses will get mad. But for the most part, yeah, I mean they're best friends and they're gonna stick up for each other. I mean, we had a neighborhood kid who was like kind of picking on my older one, and my younger one like went right up to him and was like, "Don't talk to my brother that way." So yeah, you know,
That's so cute. I'm sure in your like it must bring such joy to your heart. So I'll tell you like when my before all this my kid was at daycare and like right when he first started to like walk um and daycare was really good about giving us information stuff. So like this was probably the second or third day after he had started walking, like drop him off at daycare and he's like standing up and this piece of shit Tucker comes over, pushes him literally like just like of course he can barely walk, like nudges him a little bit, but it was like intentional. You could tell because it was like, and then I'm like, I'm gonna have to fight this kid Tucker in this. Like, that's what I'm gonna have to do. Like, I'm gonna have to like push him and show him who's, like
yeah,
it just is such a. Uh, Obviously, I didn't punch a 1-year-old, but it kicks in so fast, and like every time people would say that before, all my friends who had kids before me, like I want to apologize to them because like anytime they would talk about stuff, it was so annoying.
I
Because if you
know.
kids, it's like, oh, shut up. Like, who
I'm
cares?
still I'm still annoyed about other people's kids. No.
Sure. No, but I mean, that's some no. But to be fair, some people are like forever annoying in that way. Like that's all they can talk about. That's the only thing they have to say, and I think that's annoying in general. Like you have to have some kind of life or some interest outside of that because it's not good for you. Because when those kids leave your house, you're gonna go crazy and like either be a crazy whore or like do something stupid that's I don't know. Like you have to have other interests because it's not healthy for you mentally. But like it, I don't know. And because I was older as an older mom, so it's like all the people that had kids before me, it was just like why would you like in your head it's like cuz you were a little bit older. You weren't like 20 when
No.
you're
I think I was
right.
like 30 something,
Yeah.
35. I was
Right.
34. I was 35. I just
Yeah.
realized that.
So it's like when you're an older person, it's like this is cool. Like I've kind in some ways like lived a life in I won't miss parts of my youth that I don't miss now. Like if I had had a kid at like 22 or 20, even 25, I would be like I'm missing out on a very important chunk of my life in
Right. Well, it's
uh,
what's interesting is I sometimes think about if I was like 16 and had a kid, and I'm like, man, that actually wouldn't be horrific. Like that's what they used to do, right? In like when the world started. But because think about it, you'd be like 32 or 30, 34, and like your kids, you're done, and like, wow, I got the rest of my life to like do whatever I want to do, as
but
opposed to
in that time they were still having babies. Like the point was like it was almost like anytime you banged your wife, like you had another kid. It was like this whole other thing. Well, yeah, my grandmother, she's dead, but I mean, when she was my age, she already had grandkids.
oh yeah, well that's what they did back then. Yeah,
Right, but I mean, like,
it's
well,
crazy,
I'm
crazy to
still
think about, though, right?
what?
It's crazy to like. I couldn't picture myself like being a grandfather right now,
No,
which I guess
but
I could. I guess technically I could be.
yeah, I mean, I know people who had kids in high school. Whether I mean, it's usually not intentional, but like people who you know are cool with it. It's not like they were like anti the whole thing, but like had kids in high school or early college, and then kids later. Like I know one girl I went to high school with had a kid probably at age 19 and just had a kid like a few months ago, and it's like so you've never had like a break
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
that's like I can't imagine that.
No,
But
I'll tell you what, kids. They're a lot of work, and that's one of the other reasons that I'm like trying to. I want to get back in like tip top shape because I want to be like I can't even keep up with them. They just keep going and going and going and going and going, running and running and running. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they don't have an off button, especially when there's two of them.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I
So,
don't know.
do you think? Well, all right. Well, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this. By the way, name of the show. Crazy plug right there. Are you going to perform when things open back up, or will you wait and see what happens?
If someone would have me, I would love to. I think
Really?
I yeah.
You wouldn't be a little nervous at all, apprehensive?
I mean, as I mentioned, uh whether it seems irresponsible or not, I am pretty convinced I have already had it, and I realize the jury is still out as to whether or not you can get it twice.
Yeah.
Um, I just um, I'm also well anyway. I think I'm not as I have um sorry. I think there are some medications that are very promising. Like, should something happen, I feel pretty confident that uh,
Yeah, I mean, most likely
there
you'd be fine.
most likely I would be fine, but also
but it
like
would still suck. I mean, I don't want to get the flu either. You know, like I don't want to, right?
right, of course.
You
But I
know,
mean of like I'm not discouraging the idea that it could be deadly for for a healthy person like myself. It definitely could be, but I also know that there are medications available. For example, so convalescent plasma is something that's available. So that's basically if you take, which I don't know if you probably already know, but if you take blood from someone who's already had it and is confirmed to have had it and has antibodies for it, that is a has already been shown to be a very successful treatment for
right?
it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that like it's not that strategy will never be available for everybody,
Right,
but it does work based on what has come out already. So, I mean, and there are other things that have a lot of potential. So, like, I guess on some level, based on what I know about things that could be used for treatment, I'm not. Uh, I don't think I will die from it.
okay.
It
Well, no, that's a no. I mean, look, you gotta. I guess you gotta weigh the risk and not. Obviously, you can't live the rest of your house in the rest of your life in your house like I want to do. But like for instance, my barber texted me and she was like, "Oh, you know, if you want to get your haircut before I go back to work, you know, I'm more than happy to have you, you know, come over and we can do it outside. We'll both wear a mask." And I'm like, Gee, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that. Even though I'd be the first person that she would cut the hair, but I don't know if I feel comfortable even being that close to a human being.
right. I mean, it's totally on you, and I would never encourage anyone to like
But I
adopt.
want to be. But I would see. I wish I didn't think that way though. I'm jealous of people that are like, you know what? I think I have to just live my life and do everything I have to do. You know, take all the precautions. But I'm still gonna live my life and I'm not gonna worry about it. See, I wish I could get to that level, but unfortunately I can't get to that level like ever.
But that's fine, and that's totally fine. I mean,
Yeah.
like you, everyone, it's so it should be on an individual basis, and no one should tell you differently. No, don't let anyone sway you one way or another. You know what I mean? Like you feel how you feel, and that's I think that's the most important thing. And like in my case, I mine is based in knowledge that I have access to some of the stuff that
Right.
I like. Should something happen, I'm not fearful I will die. And if I'm being perfectly honest, like I live my life like a scumbag. So if I die, that's fine. Probably a lot of people will benefit from it anyway, and that's that's a whole other that's a whole other thing. But like, um, that's what I'm saying. Like everyone's personal opinion is their own, and you can't be swayed by what you read all the time. Like you just have to go with your gut in a lot of
Yeah.
instances.
Well, it's tough. I mean,
But
it's tough. It's a confusing time, right? Because you hear if you turn on one channel, they're saying something completely opposite of the next channel, and you know,
also,
it really is confusing for I think for a lot of people. They're probably really confused.
I think it's so motivated by so many other things that are not related to the
I agree. Totally
political,
agree.
economic. Like there's so many things that are.
See, what do you
I
now? Who do you blame? I blame it on. I hate to say it because we're on the internet, but I kind of blame it on internet advertising. Everyone wants to be like clickbaity, where it's like, oh, check this out, you know, and so they can get more clicks and more views and make more money. And they might not be putting out the accurate information. Like if this was 1984, Walter Cronkite would be on the air just saying the facts, and that would be it, right? We wouldn't be having a discussion about it.
well, facts even then would have been like debatable. Like now, what you know about how things are hidden. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. Like it's all clickbait. That being said, are you in cahoots with some sort of clickbait company that's gonna?
What's
Uh,
that?
are you like in cahoots with like a company that's gonna turn this into clickbait? Like,
I wish.
let's see what they all say about the
I'm hoping
coronavirus.
that you're gonna, you know, if you make it big, and now I have like the interview on my channel, so
Oh man,
that's the goal.
No.
So all right, so that's cool that that you'll go back and doing stand up. I think a lot of people are worried that it may not even happen this year.
That's the thing. I mean, I could say I'd be willing to do it, but there's probably not going to be any rooms. I mean, um, I
Now
will say,
now you know me being I always have an idea, but I was thinking I'm like, man, I might call up one of these drive-in theaters and just see how they would react to doing a live stand-up show at a drive-in.
that's a good idea. You know, the Kowloon is doing that,
Yeah, they're doing like a drive-in movie theater in the parking lot. So
right? But why
yeah,
stand
that's
up show?
yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know how they're gonna do it though, because like, a drive-in, they're already set up where they have like the radio that you can tune to the station to listen to them to the like their output. I don't know
Yeah,
how
but
they're gonna.
feed into that radio station, and if you're
Oh,
not,
oh yeah, I guess maybe that would work. Yeah, maybe that's what they're gonna do then. Yeah, I mean,
but I haven't heard them doing it for stand up. You should pitch it for stand up.
that's actually a good idea because I know the owner of the Kowloon, so that's interesting.
What day should I be there? I have 30 minutes.
All right, perfect.
I'm just
Yeah, I
kidding.
think it would be a lot of fun to do that. I mean, I think people would like the only downside would be you wouldn't be able to gauge the reaction of the crowd, right? Because they're
That's
all gonna, you know,
Yeah, that's true.
but it'd be fun.
Yeah, unless you allow them to like throw shit out of their cars, like if you're having a good
Oh,
time.
maybe they'll Oh, you know what they could do? The laughter could be like they put their windshield wipers on.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
That's really creative. I
And
like that.
and that's how you know. Oh, great. And then everyone's like, "Hey, how's the crowd?" Like, "Oh, the wipers are going tonight."
Really wet.
Yeah.
Lot of.
Yeah. If it rains, it might throw that off a little bit. Like,
I think that's a
I'd
good
be like,
idea.
I only want to get booked when it's raining.
No, but I mean, you could say like, give us a squirt. But that's
Right.
as I said, I that immediately. But in theory, not a terrible premise for like this idea that
Yeah,
anyway.
I think any live entertainment would be really cool. Just to
Yeah,
get out of the house, have a place to go.
yeah, and in your cars, that would be like super great. Sorry, I'm just looking to see this raccoon.
Is the raccoon still there?
It's in one of the deeper trash bags, so I can't see its face, but I can see it moving. It's very.
Is this you? Is this your trash or is it somebody else's?
It's the trash from my. So I live in a condo
Yep.
in a building, so it's the building trash, and they routinely get in these huge raccoon fights, which are I've filmed before. They're very
Put it
like
on. Do you put them on World Star?
world star. I should. I should. My God, it's so good. It's like it's. There's nothing more interesting than raccoon fights if you've never seen one. It will.
I've never seen a raccoon fight. No, but that seems pretty cool.
Yeah, very Hanover of you. I've never seen raccoon fights.
Yeah. When I was
I'm
living in Dorchester, I saw a wolf. I think like a coyote wolf thing. Like, it was weird. It like jumped like a 10-foot fence in like the middle of the night. That was kind of scary. I'm like, man, there's like wolves in Dorchester. That's crazy.
Oh man. That's so funny.
So yeah, I'm happy that you were able to come on tonight. It's been a long time since we've talked.
I
We had
know, yeah.
fun. We had a good show. We put on good shows when we did it when we used to do it, right?
Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to get Al on. I think he's coming on next week. Al
Oh,
Park.
yeah.
So
No, I've kept in touch with him a little bit. Yeah. I mean, not since the pandemic, but prior to
yeah.
that, he seems to be doing well. He has a girlfriend, last I knew. Quite a
Yeah.
while.
I don't know where he's living. He's not still living in Boston, I don't think.
Oh no?
I actually don't know, but I thought I saw he was somewhere else, but I don't know. I don't know.
He's an interesting
So
fella.
so all right. So what's your plans for the rest of 2020? Where can do people you post anywhere that people can find you at all? People want to check you out, check your stuff out.
Nah, I
No
don't post
random.
anything.
I
I
think you'd
mean,
be good at. I think TikTok would be for you.
that sounds like some that is terrifying. It sounds awful. Do you get a lot of viewers on this? Like a
I've
lot
only
of
done 5. Well, yeah, so I've done 5 videos, but here's the problem. So my kids want to start doing them now because like their friends do them. So I'll make them. I'll film TikTok videos for them, but I put it on private so nobody can see them.
hmm
And then they're like bugging me, like, "How many likes did I get? How many likes did I get?" And I'm like, "Oh, they don't really give likes for kids." Like, well, my friend got a couple likes, and
and
then
you're like,
like one, one of his
pedophile,
friends.
you will get raped.
Well, that's
No.
the thing. Like, I don't want to put him up there. Like one of his friends has like 15,000 followers. I'm like, can you tell him? I'm like, can you tell your like 7-year-old friend to throw out my YouTube link somewhere?
Wait, no, 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 no. Wait, who lets their who allows this? That feels like very negligent. I mean, I'm a garbage parent, but like that feels like
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, right? I mean, what are your feelings on kids being on social media? Like, it's weird because it's almost like, well, who cares? Because they could see them in the store, at school, or whatever. You know?
yeah, but it's like it can become this next level. I mean, I don't. I yeah, obviously they can be seen in person, and that's not like seeing them isn't the thing. It's more like this, like if you the constant posting allows for like weird obsessions and
Right.
people who
Yeah, I guess that's true.
this
Yeah.
whole
I mean,
or
well, you wait. Are you guys into Ryan yet?
is that kid who like makes like $22 million
Yeah.
a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that my friends' kids watch them incessantly, and I've watched one of them. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, I mean, but bravo to their parents for you know honing in on this like cash
I
cow.
guess. I mean, I was thinking about a world where like 30 years from now, that kid Ryan's on like the surreal life.
Oh,
You
he's
know,
gonna,
because he has no money left or what, drank it all away.
he'll be blowing lines off the back of a
Yeah.
toilet. Be like, I used to be a Lego king. And be like, all right,
I used to open up Legos on YouTube, and here I am at Home Depot.
like,
I
all
he's
right.
gonna
Like,
right. He's gonna be working like the construction aisle at Home Depot. And they're like, sir, do you know where I can get 2x4s? 2x4s. I used to open Legos on YouTube for $20 million a year. What are you talking?
yeah,
Now I'm here.
he'll be freebasing off like fancy. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the child star thing because trust me, I thought about. I'm like, I could exploit my kids and probably
I
make
don't
some
know.
money. You know,
I'm not above exploiting. I mean, I would totally do that. I mean, it. I will say if the kid enjoyed that whole thing, and I don't want like a Corey Haim Feldman
no,
situation.
no,
Where everyone's
right,
getting,
right,
of course, no one wants that, but
right.
but the that kid with the playing with the toy stuff, like I just don't get it. Like it's
I
like
don't get
why
it. They're not allowed to watch it anymore because I'm like, you're gonna watch someone else play with toys when you have all of these toys that
it's
you
so
could be
weird.
playing with. Like it's.
And you try to think back when you were a kid. It's like when I was a kid, would I like? All right, let's think about it. Like you know, but no part of me would have taken any kind of joy in watching a kid playing with cool toys because it'd be like, just give me the toy. Why do I have to watch this piece of
Right.
shit?
That'd be like going over your friend's house who has better toys than you, and you just sit there and watch them play.
Yeah, I'd
Would
be
you
like,
ever
I
do
hate
that? I mean,
you
nobody would
so
do that.
much. Yeah, I hate you. I will never come here.
Right.
I want to steal all the stuff you have and set your house
Yeah.
on.
Right.
There would be no point. Like no point. It makes no sense. And I see that kid's face on like you can't walk into Target or
I know.
whatever, like a toy store and not see that kid's face everywhere. It's like it makes no sense. I mean, I don't know. To
Nothing
watch my,
against. I mean, hey, good for him. Good for them, I guess. But
I don't fault him or his parents like 1,000%. If this one would develop some sort of like inclination to play with, or I don't know, do something cool that the internet loved and I could make $20 million a year. Oh my god, who wouldn't? Who
yeah,
wouldn't?
maybe you do it. Maybe you could do it for. I would do it for like 2 years because the kids change. Obviously, they grow up and no one's ever going to recognize them
Right.
once they get older.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just make sure they don't get molested and that's your whole job. Just like,
Yeah,
hey, you don't get to hang out with the kids
and it's
by your,
probably not like a thing where you're not like a real child actor either. Because like if I saw if they saw Ryan, I don't think they'd be like obsessed with them like I would have been with like you know, the two Coreys, I guess, when when they were in every '80s movie, you know.
Are you
So
saying you molested both Corey
no, I'm
Feldman?
just saying I don't know. I knew who they were when they were when I was growing up, right? They were in like every. You couldn't walk down a cash register without seeing their face on every magazine.
Of course, yeah. And it was also a different time in that, like, I think this whole idea of child actors, you know, being, victims in
Right.
that way, predators, like, wasn't a thing or wasn't an obvious thing. And so, yeah, maybe next best. Yeah. I don't know.
All
Yeah.
right.
We'll have our kids get very rich and we just won't let
That's what
their.
I'm trying to do, so I could retire. So my kids fund my retirement. That's why I had. That's why I had them.
Have kids. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. What else? What's the other? Right. Think about it. Like 200 years ago, they had kids to man the farms. Right.
Yeah.
So now we have to do our part and have kids to help us to retire.
Yeah. Man, the
You know.
YouTube.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, Dana. Well, listen, I'm gonna let you get out of here because I know it's late and it's already been an hour and a half. But it was awesome to talk to you as usual.
Too. Yeah.
I really hope that we get to do a show together someday again.
I that.
Cool. All right, Dana.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
I'll see you later. Take care.
All right, thank you.
Bye bye.